are listening to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And today, the crimes are petty.
Yeah.
AF. Do you like that?
Yeah.
You like that? I just didn't want to drop another F-bomb too soon. Or, as we are tentatively calling it because we wanted a placeholder, and apparently we both called it in our notes Tom Petty Crimes.
Yeah. Well, I called it that in my head. In my notes, it's just called Petty Crimes. But in my head, it's like Tom in brackets, Petty Crimes.
Tom Petty Crimes. Crimes about free falling. No.
Free falling to the petty crimes.
Ooh. Today, we are the Misses of Demeanors, the pettiest of criminals. We are Alanna and Kelsey.
Yeah.
I may have taken inspiration. I guess I'll just go right ahead and give a little shout out here on the top.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, one of our Instagram podcast friends is Seriously Sinister Podcast, a true petty crime podcast. So I really was inspired by the way they cover only the pettiest of crimes. And I thought, yeah, that's a good one for a light crime episode.
Yeah. We're treating ourselves. We're doing 2 funny episodes in a row.
It's just a little snacker of crime. Just a little 7-Eleven. Yeah. Oh my god. What is it? Ocean 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
If any of you have seen Logan Lucky, you'll know that reference. Ocean 7-Eleven. No peeking, y'all. It's science. Such a good movie.
I love that movie so much.
Go watch Logan Lucky right now. We'll wait.
Yes, just bask in the pretty much terrible, like, southern accents and, like, people obsessed with NASCAR.
Beautiful casting. Adam Driver. Channing Tatum, or Tatum Channing, as Pat sometimes calls him. He has a problem with that. And also sometimes saying Halle Berry. Because he'll be like, Halle Berry? And I'm like, yep, I know who you mean.
And then, what's the other guy? James Bond. Okay.
Daniel Craig, or Craig.
In my head, his name was David. I couldn't think of his last name, because his name definitely isn't David. That's why.
Okay, well, last week's episode, which we recorded like 2 days ago, I couldn't remember Daniel Sedin, right? Did you keep that in? If not, we'll just cut this. Because I couldn't remember Daniel Sedin of the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, I kept that in. I kept us talking, because at the beginning we had a nice little thing about Canada in talking about that, and you talked about, like, the population, like, above Toronto, stuff like that. I thought it was nice. I was like, oh, that's what I was like, I'm gonna put Alanna takes us on a road trip about Canada.
Things that blow your mind when you hear them, and then you're like, oh shit, we do have a small population for the country we have.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun little intro, so I kept that stuff in.
Fun fact. Yeah, so I don't know, sometimes we bantered a little before we got on air, but like things are good. What did we do last? Cryptids. Oh yeah, we hope you enjoyed that, because it was only our second cryptid deep dive, so
yeah,
hopefully you guys all enjoyed, but let us know. I don't know. Toronto not only had that, what the hell was it called again? The tunnel monster.
The tunnel monster of Cabbage Town.
Cabbage Town. And then I was talking to Grand Muff Tarkin, and he was saying that there's like a castle, if we'd ever been to the castle in Toronto. I was like,
yeah,
no.
I saw that.
Yeah. It's like, holy shit, Canada. We do have some things to explore. Oh yeah, I heard, I was listening to a Canadian-themed episode of another one I really like. Pods to check out. We're all about the indie little pods that are cool and creepy and weird like us. The Keep It Weird ones that I like. Keep It Weird podcast. They did a Canadian episode, and then they talked about the Fairmont Banff Springs. They were talking about haunted places, and then there was one also in Winnipeg too. So I'm like, God damn, we have to go on like a haunted tour / cryptid tour now.
Yeah.
So that should be our goal. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be fun to do a road trip. A lot of driving though, but yeah. Yeah. I feel like with how like west we are, it would make more sense to go east.
There was a lot in the east. Yeah.
'Cause I'm like, otherwise it's like, what, we could round trip it in like 48 hours if we really wanted to.
Between us people and not BC. Know how big Canada is? Like, to get to one side to the middle takes like 4 days to 5 days at a normal person pace, and like 3 days if you're on like meth.
What is it?
It's huge.
My dad, when he does the driving and stuff, we've driven like from here to like Vancouver in like 12 hours. I've done it multiple times.
Ooh,
and then we drove
Vancouver, Edmonton jaunt in 12 hours. I've heard of this mythical. It's like Star Wars and that makes me think of the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. No one can do that in 12 hours. Yeah. Like, but that's a haul. Like,
yeah, we literally, when I was younger, we used to leave at like 1 a.m. and we'd get there by like 2 p.m.
That's like, crazy.
We've been on the road for 12 hours.
But like, it's 13 because you lose an hour.
Yeah.
I think it's because we're so north in Edmonton, then to go down to Vancouver, because like when I think of growing up and going from like mom's in New Brunswick, say like Fredericton, going to my dad's in Halifax, it would take us 4 to 6 hours depending on which parent was driving. So
yeah,
that's crazy.
See, in my family, when we road trip, it's bathroom breaks and Tim Hortons only. We stop at like a Walmart and you buy lunch meat and buns, and my mom will buy like a bottle of mustard and packets of mayonnaise, and we will literally make sandwiches in the car. Other than coffee and bathrooms, we are not stopping.
Oh my god, hardcore. Yeah. Pat was like that on our winter road trip to New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Sort of. Jill was like, I can actually deal with this as long as the dog can pee, because we had her in her little white fang. And Rain, who was 2. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I was like, got a photo radar today. It was like, Pat got it in his name, but I've been driving his car a lot because mine's so old. So it was like, whose speeding ticket is this? Let's see. Spoiler alert, it was mine. Damn it!
I can't even say that the only photo radar that my vehicle had ever, or that I had ever gotten in my name, wasn't me driving. It was in my first vehicle. My dad picked me up from a concert in my vehicle. I can't remember why, but so it came and it said it was mine. And then I looked and I walk into my bedroom because I was still living with my parents at the time, take off the ticket stub from the concert, walk back over, and was like, this is at 12:30, or I guess 12:30 a.m. So just after midnight. And I said, this is my ticket stub. You drove me home. It was you. So my dad paid it.
It was so nice because your dad also was picking you up from the concert.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah. But then,
oh my god.
Since then, within the last year, I actually did get a photo radar ticket. It was actually the day I met John. Or like went out with him for the first time, and I was on my way to Kate's because she was doing my hair before that. And then I was driving to her place, and I only go like once every 6 months. So I like wasn't paying attention to the speed limit, and it's right at the, you would know it, it's the walk pedestrian like overpass crossing at the Expo Center grounds.
Oh, okay.
The one on, what is it, 118th? Or 116th, that like crosses right there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that it
Like
like
a little,
slows
yeah.
down and it like the road like dips down and it was right under there and I was like, oh my god. So the two times that my vehicle has been photo radared, it's the exact same spot, like 6 years apart.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah.
Oh, I had one where it was the same light, but like 3 days apart, so I just hadn't gotten the first one in the mail. So,
Oh.
to clarify, if anyone lives in a country where they don't get photo readers, it's what
Yeah.
Pat calls when you get a picture of your car in the mail, but it's really a speeding ticket that was taken by a stationary camera. Like, well, you went through this area.
Well, the
Anyway.
reason why is most other countries it's actually illegal. In most other provinces, it's actually
Oh.
illegal. Photo radars are like Alberta is one of the only places in Canada that it's legal to have a photo radar ticket made.
Okay, and
Yeah,
I didn't drive much in New Brunswick, so I didn't actually know. But like,
yeah. That's why
at least
people are so against
that's
it and have so many problems. Like my brother rants about it and stuff because
but
Alberta is one of the only places that actually has them.
But yeah, but they have them, but then they just cost you money and they don't actually like cost you demerits against your license, which is good.
No, but you
But yeah, I
still have
get
to
it.
you still have to pay them before you're allowed to renew your license or your license
Exactly.
plate.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, it's annoying.
Anyway, petty crimes.
So, the cookie crusher.
Oh,
Are you ready?
yes.
The cookie crusher. In Bucks County, Pennsylvania, an unknown person or persons was casually smushing every packet of cookies they could get their hands on in the supermarket. Uh, for 3 years.
For 3 years? Oh my god, what is wrong with this person?
3 very sad, very baked goods-less years.
The cookie crusher. Oh my god, I love it.
Or the cookie monster, I guess I could have called it. But yeah.
Yeah. They are a monster.
You monster! But yeah, it's like you just picture people like squeezing bread, which I guess he also did. So yeah. At
Oh.
first, the store owners at the Lower Makefield Giant Food Supermarket suspected some teen troublemakers or perhaps someone who was so frustrated that they couldn't open the packages to eat and shop, I guess, that they took
Okay.
it out. Yeah, they must have taken their frustration out on these poor unsuspecting biscuits.
The poor unsuspecting biscuits. I'm sorry. The poor muffins. The poor biscuits. The
It was the
bread.
youths. I mean, come
It
on.
was the youth.
You guys never messed up a store when you were younger. So yeah, they were like, okay, this will probably just stop on its own. However, 3 years later, and the cookies are still under siege by the Cookie Monster, the Cookie Duster, if you will. So they began to suspect other stores, like maybe this was a rival supermarket taking out the competition.
Okay. A
But
little
other
strange.
stores, secret shoppers, secret smushers, go on in and just squeeze the Boston cream out of that.
Yeah, here's $5. Go wreck as many donuts and loaves of bread as you can in a minute. I'm gonna time you.
Ugh, I would take that job. That would be satisfying as heck. So, but as it turned out, other stores in the area were reporting the same problem. So it wasn't them. Eventually, it was decided to set up extra camera surveillance specifically to catch this cookie crook. This was and this was actually pushed forward by the main cookie companies themselves, not the grocery store, because these cookie manufacturers were out quite a bit of money, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah,
Seems
missing
weird
out.
that the grocery store like wouldn't give a crap.
I mean, yeah, they probably had sufficient surveillance in place, like for their needs, maybe, but they were like, I don't know if I could take on this caper. But yeah, it seemed weird to me too that it was like eventually they've set up enough cameras.
Yeah.
But he was just a very swifty little cookie poker. The cameras were placed, and Samuel Feldman, a 37-year-old local, was identified, caught in the act of squeezing bread and other baked goods. He was charged with criminal mischief.
Oh my god.
Apparently, the jury was split and wanted him convicted for the cookies, but not the bread squeezing. That's the most egregious part.
They're
Gotta
like,
have good fluffy bread.
I can see them being like, yeah, you gotta poke the bread, man. You don't gotta poke the cookies.
You want to poke the bread. Oh yeah. But you may not.
I'll give it a little squish, like a little tiny half a centimeter little pat, but I'm not gonna like crush it in my fist.
I mean, it could be excusable if you're like looking for a hole. I have taken home a loaf that ended up like having a dry bit because you're like, oh, it has a hole at the end. But that was probably from the pokers. So this was sad. The store suffered $8,000 in damage to bread and cookies over the years of
8,000
poking. Yeah, he was like for real deal. Come in and like poke everything on site and leave again at first, and they couldn't figure it out.
That's brutal.
I mean, there's a lot going on in a grocery store. I did work in the bakery department at the superstore for a while, so that was interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like high school. Every little department's like their own clique. You got meat, you got deli, you got bakery. Like, nobody knows what's going on in the whole place. Oh. So, the judge postponed sentencing indefinitely, and the judge ordered that he undergo some psychological therapy. He was trying to let him off kind of light. And another source I read, because I couldn't find many, go figure, said that he was given 2 years probation. So, he got something. He
Oh my
got
gosh.
a slap on the wrist, at least. He got a poke to the bread. His attorneys argued that they didn't fingerprint all the goods, and that Feldman was simply testing the bread for freshness when caught on camera.
just Hulk smash in the grocery store. Oh my god.
Well, it's like you said, everyone's giving it a little squeeze.
A justifiable little tiny amount of pressure is okay, but you shouldn't be going at it with one finger, and so you should be like, your surface area for the pat should be large. It shouldn't be a small little finger. Use your hand, the palm of your hand.
Gentle pressure.
Yeah.
Next up, we had the DVD Robin Hood.
The DVD Robin Hood. Okay. I like these names. These people have the best names, don't they, out of all the crimes? Like,
yeah, I think I made up most of the names.
Okay, then you're just
fun
great.
With that.
You're just great at petty crime names. Because I was like, these are better than serial killer names.
I know, that's true. That's true.
Give me all the petty crime names you can that are like puns.
I can't remember exactly, because we talked about before we got on air, it mostly came from one article, but it was definitely not hard to keep thinking of different monikers. Okay, so the DVD Pirate Hood, right? Yeah. The DVD Pirate Robin Hood. Pirate Hood.
Pirate Hood.
Jesus.
Pirate Hood. Pirate Hood.
We've all known and seen the FBI warning at the beginning of a home movie, especially the old ones.
Yep.
Yeah, whether you're watching it on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, or whatever new incarnation. And it's always like, do not copy or show this work without permission, etc., etc. You're not allowed to just screen, the latest Fast and the Furious just because you guys don't feel like going to the theater and you have a big backyard.
Does Netflix actually have any copyright thing? They don't put anything up. For
Not
their
usually.
Netflix originals?
No. No. And not when they put out a new well, I guess that was Netflix, but like we bought the new Black Widow off of Disney Plus.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like you just buy it. I feel like it used to be like every movie you would see, you had to see that warning, that FBI warning, but now it's like, eh.
Yeah, now I see it and I'm just like, wow, I'm watching a DVD. Like, I'm so often
we know
just
pirating
streaming stuff.
happens.
I'm just
Yeah,
so
we
often
give up.
streaming. Yeah.
The world has changed. Okay, so yeah, we all know that people will download movies illegally anyway. Myself, I had to admit Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, I think we couldn't get out to see because Rain was so young, and we were like, we can't wait till it comes out on DVD. But other than that, yeah. The risk is there, and you could potentially get in trouble if you are caught, of course. Unless you are Hyman Strackman. This 92-year-old...
92? Sorry.
92-year-old.
He knows how to pirate a movie?
Is this your grandpa?
I'm actually really impressed. Okay.
Yes, for years he has been burning DVD copies of all the latest films, all the new releases. However, he is actually losing money on this venture. Because what he does is he sends them overseas to troops serving overseas. I assume American troops. I can't remember from the article, I'm sorry.
Aww.
But yeah, it's like soldiers.
That's actually really sweet.
Yeah. I suppose they wouldn't have time to get out and go see the newest whatever, so he like burns it for them. I don't know what they do with movies anymore. I don't know if he's going to the movie theater like with his camera or whatever sitting there. But yeah, what does the Motion Picture Association think about all of this shenanigans? They say, we've never heard of him. And that they're very happy that soldiers are enjoying their films.
Oh my god.
Yay.
Well, at least he didn't go to prison. You know?
No.
He's 92. I'm actually really impressed that he knows how to burn movies and he thought to do this, and
That's true. That's true.
He sounds
it sounds
like
like
a
he's been
pretty
doing it for a
cool-
while, but still. Yeah, exactly. What 92-year-old can do that? I can't even, like... I'm not even gonna say do anything with technology.
I used to be able to like burn CDs, and I used to burn movies, but
That
like,
was a thing. You had to do
yeah.
it to watch it anywhere else. You had to burn a CD, rip a CD,
Yeah.
whatever the hell. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, I used to know how to do that. I was like, if you gave me all the tools to do it today, I don't know if I could do it without like Googling how to do it. But like 10 years ago, I knew exactly how to, or more than 10 years ago, like, what, 13 years ago, I knew exactly how to do it.
Probably. Ugh, it's crazy. Technology rants.
Yeah.
Other old petty criminals, but in Japan. So, Japan's gonna come up at least once here. Recently, Japan has seen an increase in elderly citizens committing crimes. While the reasons do vary from actual poverty to simple boredom, the fact remains that there's been a huge influx in geriatric criminals.
Geriatric. Oh my god.
Poor little old criminals. They're probably walking around with their tracksuits on and their sun hats.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. They got oversized sunglasses and a fanny pack.
I saw a guy walking down the path in the park behind our house, and yeah, I was like, I feel like this is, I hate to say it, but an Asian guy, because he was wearing like full tracksuit, like a sun hat, like a big straw hat, and a mask, walking alone down the path. I was like, what are you doing, sir?
I see those people on my block, and they're walking like that. There's this woman that walks like that, and then she also is wearing like the blue like nitrile gloves while outside. And I was like, are you afraid of sunburn, or is this a COVID thing? I'm like, you're wearing gloves outside while speed walking down the street. I'm like, I'm so confused. Yeah.
Just go. Just go stand too close to her. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I wouldn't do that.
No. Yeah, I'm very much for the social distancing, like, all the time. Like, don't get too close up on me.
Yeah.
But, so, there's so many old criminals in Japan that they've had to build extra special prisons for some of them.
Do they have chairlifts?
Probably. They just didn't have enough space for all these old parts.
Oh my god. That's probably the greatest place to be a prison guard, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, how fast are these people running? They're probably not causing prison riots. They're probably... They just want to play some shuffleboard and...
They would be adorable if they were causing riots.
Yeah. The rice pudding is out. We're out of rice pudding.
Ooh, rice pudding.
You like rice pudding?
I think so.
I think so.
I've tried it like once.
I can't get over, like, I don't know, it's just a weird texture. I think I had it once. My grandma loves it.
Oh, I know, like, Pat will buy, like, tapioca, and I'm like, are you 90? Even though I love pudding, but I'm still like, what? Oh, they had to build special prisons for all these old farts. One article from BusinessInsider.com suggested that they are doing it on purpose because they believe the quality of life will be better there in prison than on their own in many cases.
That's sad.
I know, I can't make it any happier. But, it is kind of speaks to a bigger problem, doesn't it?
Yeah, just like we were talking about this at work the other day about homeless people, like, committing crimes and stuff, leading up into the winter time and everything so that they have a place to live, so they're not stuck outside. That's a huge problem, too.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that speaks to some of the merits of, like, socialism and stuff, is that you want to have institutions to help people instead of just pretend to help them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is also interesting because Japan has the oldest population, apparently, where more than 25% of their citizens are 65 or older. So retirees.
Wow.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Are they just, like, living better over there?
I feel like they do. It's... I don't know, something in their lifestyle. It must be.
I feel like there's a lot of stress in Western culture, and we don't have a lot of, I don't know, solidifying, unifying faith, ways to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, culture that are just culturally, I don't know, there, I guess.
Yeah.
But we deal with it. Technology is also just advancing so fast that all of us are like, what the hell?
Yeah, I can't keep up.
No, and that's probably what's happening to some of these older people. They don't know what to do. So, the number of petty crimes committed by Japanese seniors has quadrupled over the past couple of decades. That was a quote. And yeah, also very sad, the amount of Japanese seniors living alone increased by 600% from 1985 to 2015.
And that's probably us Western people, because most places in the world, like, your, like, parents or grandparents still live with the family, and you live in, like, maybe, like, a separate area of the house and stuff with your family, but it's more of, like, a communal living, like, society where North America doesn't do that.
No, but, like, maybe, you think it's, like, the Western society creeping in and stuff?
Where people are like, well, you don't have to, and I can afford to have you, like, live somewhere else. Not in, like, a bad way.
Right, like maybe there's even more nursing homes and stuff.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of them are in Japan are just living on their own in their own apartments and stuff though, which is crazy. Excuse me. Oh yeah, so as far as the prisons go, some have reported a sense of community there that they don't get at home. And from other sources I had just actually heard over time, there's many times where people will like die alone there and they aren't found for many days.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't know. But oh yeah, I said, where are the retirement villages, Japan? Or like one cool thing I remember reading about was dementia villages. I definitely know there's at least one in the Netherlands where it's, you know, like a nursing home or whatever, but instead of inside just having little rooms, they make it so that it looks like a little street inside. And then they have like a little post office, and then your little room comes out almost like a little motel or something. Your little room like is out onto a street, and then yeah, it's almost like you're like living in your own little community, but it's all inside a building.
Wow.
And so I think maybe then they don't get as many runaways because the people don't feel like they're trapped just in a building where they just eat, live, and sleep. Because you probably remember from working at the building we did, which was close to a retirement home, that like there would be like escapees from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they would just like, well, they just wandered over here, and you're like, oh my god, let's get them back home. But they don't know any better, and so these kind of fake little villages give them like, where like the people running the post office and stuff like that are like the nursing home nurses and stuff, and so it gives people more a feeling of autonomy and things like that, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, if they can build fake cities in like malls and stuff like that in like Vegas, and they even have it here and stuff that looks like a little city, like, come on.
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
All right, and the next one. My next one is the man who steals phones from hipsters.
I love it already.
Okay, yeah, that's what they called it in the article from what I remember, and I was like, yes, who is this?
That's awesome.
Or at least only from people in coffee shops who he finds dumb enough to fall for his con. So, Kaylin Lonel-Rostas, maybe is how you say it, but he would con people at the coffee shop by picking a victim who had their phone out on the table, and then walk up to them and ask for directions. Sorry.
I just like never keep my phone out on a table, really.
Right? That's how he would pick them. So like, yeah, he'd be like, no, she's too smart for me. Moving on.
Not today.
She keeps her phone in her hand. God damn it.
My hand or my purse.
Yeah, why would you ever just have it out on the table? I don't know. That's weird. So while he would like ask them for directions, he would be listening, and then he would place his newspaper on top of the phone and thus obscuring it from their view. And once they were done talking, because people love to hear themselves talk, and they're probably paying attention to themselves talking, he'd just be like, zip, and he'd swipe them both up, and off he would go.
That sucks. I mean, yeah, just your phone. Like, everything's just on your phone. Like,
yes, they're an easy target. Or at least a valuable target if you make them an easy target.
Yes.
Yeah. The next one I had was Tide stealers, or criminals who like to steal Tide laundry detergent.
What?
Apparently it's an expensive... Well,
Oh.
apparently because it's an expensive, commonly used, needed ingredient or household item and a known brand. So, apparently that makes it really good for being like good, not street cred, but like a street commodity, I guess. Street value.
Can I buy some drugs? Sure, you got them Tide Pods. That'll cost you $25 or 47 Tide Pods. Like,
I think of like some of the Gain scents, and it's like Moonlight Breeze. You got that Moonlight Breeze, buddy? No.
are these the sensitive skin Tide Pods?
Right. Because there's that commercial with the little girl, and she's got a cape, but she's got sensitive skin.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So a $20 jug can be resold in the streets for $5 to $10 or used to pay for your drugs directly.
Oh my god,
From the Atlantic.
I was making that up that you could buy drugs with it. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, no. It's for real.
Wow.
Well, like anything else, if it's valuable and someone who's an addict can get it, like they're gonna do whatever they can to get the money for their drugs.
Yeah.
So, from the Atlantic.com's article, Why Are Criminals Stealing Tide Detergent and Using It for Money? An alleged quote from one dealer. I'm out of marijuana right now, but when I get re-upped, I'll hook you up if you can get me 15 bottles of Tide.
15 bottles. Oh my god.
Sweet, sweet Tide. No, I know. That context doesn't even give it any, like, amounts or anything. And also a dealer probably wouldn't say marijuana. But I'm just saying.
But 15 bottles. That, like, you have to rob a store at least 7 times. I don't think you get out with more than 2 of them at a time.
Oh, we'll get to it.
If you're... Oh my god.
Some take the boldest approach possible. Load the cart up with Tide. Cart up with Tide. Or the shopping buggy for you Americans. But shopping cart up with Tide. Nothing else, and run for the door. Like you're going at the entrance to platform 9 3/4. That's my artistic license.
Yeah. You got a train to catch to take you to Hogwarts with your Tide Pods.
I feel like people will try anything at some stores because of their lack of security, like Walmart.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say about that and what I heard from my teenage friends.
Yeah, where I work, it literally on a daily basis, there's like a grab and run. Pretty much.
A grab and run. Yeah.
And sometimes it's really funny because you'll know and you'll have called them out, but we won't have like a loss prevention or security guy there watching them. Right. So we can't do anything. We're not like allowed to do anything.
Right. For your own safety, I'd assume. But yeah, it's kind of weird.
So they'll like, especially when I was on a door greeter because of COVID, they'll like come up with like a shopping cart or like a basket full of stuff. And they'll kind of go like they're gonna do something like at the front because we'll have like empty baskets up there. We used to have like shopping carts up there. So they sometimes would like come up with a basket full of stuff that's like overflowing and then make it look like they're gonna put it in a shopping cart. And then they'd kind of fake you out, try and do like a 360 spin and then like run out the door like, woo, I did it. I just like faked you out. And meanwhile, the whole time you're like, watching them and you're trying to make it look like you're not watching them. You're just waiting for them to leave or make their move so you can wave at the camera so they can review it later for their face. And so you're just waiting and then this person's like, oh, faked you out. And you're like, no, you didn't. Like, I was literally waiting for you to leave for like the last 10 minutes. Like,
oh, it must be so frustrating though because you just want to like stick your foot out and trip them or something.
But the one day it was funny because the guy tried to like fake out and he ended up almost tripping and he ended up like pretty much running into the door because he was like, as he was like running towards the door, he was like kind of stumbling over his feet like while he was running because he had like tripped on himself while he was like trying to do his fake out spin. Like a soccer fake out spin when you try and fake him out that you're gonna kick the ball in the other direction. You kind of like switch on like one foot from like spinning in one direction to the next really quickly. Yeah, he tried to do that and he like tripped himself up. Yeah, the one guy he stole.
Maybe he's a hockey player and he's like, I don't know how to do this on land. I can fake
maybe
on a skate, but
yeah. And there's one guy that's stolen because we have like those rolly baskets too that you have like the handle that you pull up and you hold on to that like a rolly suitcase, but it's like a basket on the floor.
Yes.
And
I like completely filled one up the other day with wood and then I had no room for anything else.
Yeah. Well, he upgraded from like the handheld baskets because he figured out he could fit more in this one. And we only have 12 of them in the store to begin with, and he's stolen like 4 of them in the last month. And I'm like, if he keeps going at this and we don't replace them, he's gonna steal all of ours. Like, we'll have none.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I'm just like, oh, there goes another one. I wonder if we're gonna replace them yet, because he's literally... We're gonna have none left. He's literally stolen like a third of them.
Did I ever tell very quick story on the pod yet about the time one of the homeless guys was shoveling in front of the AMA building that we used to work at, and it was like, oh, that's nice, but then a guy came by from the Home Depot next door, and was like, but he's using our stolen shovel, can we have that back?
Oh my
I was
god,
like,
no.
oh! I just thought he was being really nice. I didn't realize he stole a shovel to shovel out our front steps so he could come and get some coffee and stuff, because we had some free coffee.
Oh my god. Oh, that's awful.
It's so Canadian, too.
Yeah, steal a shovel so you can shovel out in front of a business for them. Wow.
He was super nice. I don't know if you remember him. He came in, sometimes he had really long blonde hair and was a really young guy, and he was homeless, and he was just really nice. I don't know.
No.
We got a lot of them when we had a phone, a landline in there that would make drug deals, and then we got rid of that, and then when we got coffee, then we got nicer ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Jesus, where did I get to? Oh, load up the cart. Full of Tide. Making a run for it. It's all a trend in organized retail crime, otherwise known as ORC, or ORC. My last couple petty crimes. The cop who stole all the lunches. Hundreds of lunches were constantly going missing at the Deer Park Police Department, and it was getting to be too much for the department to let slide. Which, obviously, this happens in, like, every, office place or anywhere you have a fridge where you could put your lunches in. Apparently, people steal it. I just don't get it.
Yeah. At one of the places, I heard that there was the one girl, she used to go, or her coworkers used to go grocery shopping on their lunch break all the time because they had, like, hour-long lunch breaks. So they'd go grocery shopping during the day, like, pick up some stuff, and then they'd have to put it in the fridge or freezer until they were off work and, like, take it home. And this girl would go in and steal the stuff.
Which is just the
awful.
Worst kind of person.
Yeah.
You're like,
terrible
you
people.
know that's not yours. And this is exactly like this case, because they eventually set up surveillance and caught Officer Kevin Yang stealing a can of Monster Energy drink that was clearly labeled with someone else's name.
Oh my god.
When confronted, he denied these allegations, saying that he only liked to keep the fridge clean by throwing out old food at the end of each week. They shot back with, yeah, but 60 pounds of sausages were probably not just left there and forgotten about. Probably they weren't just old to be thrown out.
Yeah, this is so old. I better clean it out. It's only been here for an hour.
Right?
I bet it's forgotten. The people won't come back for it.
I'm gonna change it. Okay, so also stealing, they dubbed it stealing future bikes from the future. But back to Japan again. So bikes, like cell phones, are also something that is pretty nice thing if you can steal that you can sell again. They're worth a good chunk of change. Yeah, and they are their own getaway vehicle in some cases.
Yep.
One enterprising thief in Japan had a unique approach. He advertised, that sounds like German. He advertised stolen bikes on a website sort of similar to eBay. Once he got a bite, or an interested customer, so to speak. That was the real thing, not the euphemism. It's like this. There's a Simpsons one where Krusty's talking into the mic and at an audience, or I don't know. He's like, "I said the loud part quiet and the quiet part loud." He fucks it up. Okay, so once he got an interested customer, he would go out and steal that model of bike for that customer. This was like custom stealing, if you will.
Okay, so he's doing like targeted things. Like somebody hits him up and is like, "I want this."
Right, he's basically pretending he already has the bike for sale, the stolen bike, and then once somebody's like, "Yeah, I'll pay this much," he's like, "Well, at this point, I will actually steal it. It's worth it."
So if they're like $5, he's like, "Nah."
Yeah. He's pretty lazy. So, or enterprising. I don't know. You tell me. One poor man reported a theft of 3 bikes in one day, only to wake up to find 6 missing the next morning. So, like, yeah, he doesn't stop once he finds one.
That must be a business, because I feel like who has 9 bikes?
Yes, that one
Okay.
was like a business owner.
I was
sorry.
like, what?
I do have a tendency to do that where I'm like, people aren't already in my brain. Like, I remember I was editing one episode and I was like telling you about the Friends episode where she has to stop giving out candy and giving checks, but I didn't say that it was Halloween. And I was like, she stopped giving out candy and gave out checks. And you were like, what? The business is what?
Yeah.
I feel like you just said something normal and I was like, no, but the candy. And I was like listening back, I was like, I never said that it was Halloween.
The context. You have to supply the rest of the context.
Right? And it's like, people will tell you do that, and you're like, okay, but then... Okay, so that was that guy, and the very last funny one I have, if that tells you anything, was Hanksy, the prankster who paints only Tom Hanks graffiti.
I have Hanksy on mine. That was the pictures I put on the drive.
It's so funny though.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Isn't it?
Yes.
How many
It's
more
like
do
last
you
time
have?
where I didn't want you to tell me what cryptids you were doing because I wanted to be surprised, but I was like, even if we do the same one, but then we did cover different parts of the Wendigo. Like,
Yeah.
So I was like, you had stuff that I hadn't looked at, so I thought it was really fun.
Oh, yeah. I only had like a little blurb from Wikipedia about Hanksy and then just the pictures I wanted to talk about because they're so ridiculous.
Damn. Okay, audience, you guys are... If you don't know about him, I was floored. I don't know. Hanksy! Yes, okay, so
Yeah.
great minds think alike. And possibly the best mashup of all time, this tag artist combines the famous graffito Banksy's works with Tom Hanks's face.
Yeah. It's the best.
I did not know anything about this guy.
Neither did
I barely
I.
know about Banksy. Like, I'm like, okay, he's a graffiti artist. Like, I kind of get it. And then I heard, maybe from you, about a painting or something that he made even more notorious by, like, selling it and then shredding it. Like, he just seems a little
they auctioned
Lady
off
Gaga off the rails.
picture, and it had like a deadline or something on the auction. I think
Yeah.
it was, and then the frame, nobody knew, but the frame it was in, at the bottom of the frame, it was actually a paper shredder. So when the timer ran out, which is when the auction was gonna close and like the bidding would stop, it literally like triggered, and then it waited like 10 minutes for it to be like finalized or whatever, and then the picture just suddenly like shredded itself out of the frame, and they're just like, oh fuck. Or it like kept like the top like 2 inches or something, and the rest of it was just hanging down in like things, and everybody was losing their mind because this person paid like something insane for it, like a couple $100,000 or something at least for it, and it just shredded itself in front of them.
Like, you like buy this expensive like Jaguar or car or something, and it just like blows up by the time you go to get in it.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so maybe it was you where I originally heard that from. Sometimes I can't remember where I hear these cool things. But this Hanksy, who paints these Tom Hanks versions, is known for works that has some cool names like Daft Skunk, Moo-Oofs like Jagger, and Tron Swanson. Did you see that one?
No.
I don't know if I even looked it up, but I was like, it's definitely a play on Ron Swanson, and I need it. So, he came to fame in 2011 when he painted his first work that featured Mr. Hanks. His real name is Adam Lucas, and he has met Tom in person while he was wearing a Tom Hanks mask. I think this guy is very meta.
Oh, that's weird. He was wearing a Tom Hanks mask.
From what I read, yeah. I couldn't find any pictures of that one, or I didn't look super, super hard, to be honest. But anyway. I was enchanted when I knew he had a work called Dump Trump.
Yes.
Which Yes! You saw it. It was Donald Trump on, like, the poop emoji, basically.
Yeah, after I told you about Hanksy, or was expecting to tell you about Hanksy, I was gonna tell you
Yes.
that I put that as the episode picture.
Oh, nice, nice. And what
Because
about, did you
the
see
Pie Hard?
pot? Yes!
Yeah. Well, because
Okay.
Pie Hard, it was too long. It was too tall of a picture and too
Oh,
skinny.
no.
It didn't work. So I was like, damn
It's
it.
like Bruce Willis in like an apron and he's holding like, is he like holding a stack of pies or
Yeah,
something?
a whole bunch of pizza pucks.
Pie
Yeah, a
Hard.
whole bunch of, I guess they're pie boxes, and it's like cherry,
Yes.
cherry, key lime, blueberry, cherry,
Yes.
apple, banana cream.
I literally just watched, there's a Netflix thing now called the movies that made us, which I used to watch. You know, you ever seen the one, The Toys That Made Us? It's like the same thing,
Yeah.
but it goes through all the movies that are really famous, and went through like Forrest Gump, and then I watched one on Die Hard last night, and nobody ever thought Bruce Willis could be an action star because he was on like romantic comedies before
Yeah.
that, and they were like, this guy's a wimp. And I'm
No.
like, okay,
He's
I
only
grew
about
up
to be like one of the best action stars ever.
I know. Oh my god. Now we talked about Bruce Willis 2 episodes in a row. What the hell is happening? But anyway, yeah, I was like, oh, this is weird. It's because I only know him as an action star. That's all my fun stuff. The only other things I had was a little bit of a more serious note. Not too much of a bummer, hopefully, but it was a focus on something that I came across when I was Googling petty crimes, but was called 23 Petty Crimes That Have Landed People in Prison for Life Without Parole.
Oh,
So-
that's awful.
Yeah, it's a little more on the serious side because it's got stats from the American Civil Liberties Union, and so there's still a lot of drugs in America that are classified as, class 1 drugs, blah, blah, that are not good.
Yeah, I
And
don't
so-
think any amount
yeah.
of petty crime should land people in prison for life.
Right.
Petty crime shouldn't. Petty crime shouldn't. That just... No.
And they focused on, kind of how, like, it's not just any of these one things per se, but still, even, like, a combination of little crimes, I don't really agree with it because, like, well, if you just listen, some of them are very petty.
Yeah.
But, anyway, it's not too long, but from a search I did on drug-related offenses, has been on the decline in Canada since 2011, and then we legalized marijuana for recreational use in October of 2017. So I think that dropped our numbers pretty dramatically too for, like, it's not like we're, drug offenses isn't like mostly what keeps people in jail nowadays in Canada. Basically, there were roughly 186 drug-related offenses per 100,000 residents nationwide in Canada in 2019. It was like under 200 per 100,000 residents.
That's
and
pretty
in the
good.
US, I feel like maybe. And in the USA, according to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, 46.2% of inmates were in for drug-related offenses, or 66,000 approximately prisoners as of July 17th, 2021.
Ew.
Yeah, it can, like, I think it's a bit much. I am on that side of it where it's like, you'll see like Kim Kardashian helping to release people from prison that are just in there for drug stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, like, even if it's a couple different drug offenses, does that make it as bad as like a violent crime?
Yeah, no.
I think so.
Yeah, and I don't like the 3 strikes, like, you're done for any reason thing.
Right. That seems to be what mostly is amounting to these life sentences, is like accumulation of certain ones that add up to something you can't control almost. I don't know. Okay, so I didn't I didn't want to get into a whole rant, but I was like, basically, because like, you know, sometimes like countries will start a war on drugs or terror or something that you can just like throw money at, but like,
Yeah.
really isn't a very tangible war, quote unquote.
Yeah, so it can never, so it's not something you can finish, right?
I know, that's what I wrote. I'm like, can you win? Like, you can't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, 66,000 people in jail for drugs in the country, so it's like, well, you know, maybe not winning. And like sex offenses and stuff was more like 11%, and homicide and aggravated stuff was about 3, so it's like,
Wow.
yeah, it's still a big percentage of the prisons. Yeah. Not trying to get too political, but yeah, I do think it deserves talking about a little bit. Yeah, and so people serving life in prison without parole. Some of the crimes included possessing a crack pipe, possessing a bottle cap containing a trace amount of heroin, having traces of cocaine in closed pockets that were invisible to the naked eye but detected in lab tests.
Oh my god.
Having, I know, I'm sorry. I'm like, I just can't. Or having a single crack rock at home, possessing 32 grams of marijuana, worth about $380 in California, with intent to distribute.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I've definitely possessed that much, but like, if they decided, you know, I was an American, I had the intent to distribute, they would have had that as a charge. Like, it's, passing out several grams of LSD at a Grateful Dead show. Come on, you squares.
Is it that specific? Or, no, this is what it has been. That's not like, in general, a charge, I guess.
Right. Yeah, these are like different specific charges that have added up to the life sentences.
I was like, why are they specifying what type of concert? I forgot.
They're like, if it's a Donnie Marie concert, it's okay. Yeah. Acting as a go-between in the sale of $10 worth of marijuana to an undercover cop. $10!
Oh my
That's
god.
like a gram. I'm sorry. Selling a single crack rock, verbally negotiating another man's sale of 2 small pieces of fake crack to an undercover cop.
Fake
having
crack. Oh my god.
Fake crack. Yeah. Having a stash of over-the-counter decongestant pills that could be used to make methamphetamine. Could be.
God forbid you're decongested.
You could just be a congested person.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Attempting to cash a stolen check, possessing stolen scrap metal, possessing stolen wrenches, siphoning gasoline from a truck.
Yeah.
Stealing tools from a shed and a welding machine from a front yard. Shoplifting 3 belts from a department store. 3 belts! The fuck?
Well, you only need one.
Yeah, exactly.
Life sentence. You only need one belt.
Shoplifting several digital cameras. Shoplifting 2 jerseys from an athletic store. I want to know who was on the jerseys.
Yeah, what team?
Opinion. Yeah. There was a picture. It said incognito.
Yeah. It better be a good team. Not that I would know.
Oh, excuse me. Taking a television, circular saw, and power converter from a vacant house. Breaking into a closed liquor store in the middle of the night. Making a drunken threat to a police officer while handcuffed in the back of a patrol car. Being a convicted felon in possession of a firearm. Taking an abusive stepfather's gun from their shared home.
Oh my god,
and...
no. That's not fair.
No, that was it that I had on the list. And many of those, they pointed out, were not first offenses. So, as we said, it's a bit of a cumulative effect, I guess. But still, it's kind of like they have this, like, arbitrary chart of, like, the drug and equals this 5-year mandatory minimum without parole. And then this other column that's like 10-year mandatory minimum without parole. So it basically seems like, yeah, like you said, strike 1, strike 2 out of either column, and then like strike 3, you're out kind of thing. It's just like, come on. Anyway, obviously I feel like the drug stuff is persecuted maybe too harshly in some accounts, whereas the violent stuff is not.
Yeah, they should be doing the stuff that, well, I guess selling drugs and stuff, certain drugs, is like with the, I guess it's not the intention, you're intending to make money, but it can have the intention to do harm and end up killing somebody. But somebody like going out there directly to like physically assault somebody or like kill somebody, I think should be the priority.
Well, yes, there's that, and there like just the things that made like weed into whoever. Like, I did watch the documentary on that the other day, but whoever decided it was a class 1 drug, you know, was basically probably like the cotton people or whoever was threatened by like the hemp industries. It's just a bunch of bullshit that you're like, whatever. You just, that rule doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like cocaine, you know, heroin, yeah, okay, class 1 addictive drug. Yeah, I can see that. But like, freaking weed? I'm sorry.
No.
Anyway.
Oh, those were good. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna, we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back for mine.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Trevin.
We're the hosts of Seriously Sinister, a true petty crime podcast.
The show that asks, is that a murder weapon in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
We're bringing something new and different to the true crime genre.
Each week, we both tell a true petty crime story with high drama and movie-like sound production.
Also, get to know us with our weekly dreadful dilemmas and killer facts.
Here's a sample of 2 of our true petty crime stories. Enjoy.
As I lay on the floor crying, my vision started to become more clear, and my perpetrator came into focus. A familiar ornery laugh emerged from the man as I recognized his smile. It was my husband.
I quickly ripped open the paper and turned to the 3rd page. Earlier in the week, another call had come in. This time a woman had answered the door and got an eye full of mystery fist. The call description...
We hope you all enjoyed listening along and aren't too scared to subscribe to our show.
You can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Every podcaster's fear. We just finished that. Oh, it didn't record. Excuse me. It's like, no.
So, I have 2... I have a small medium dive and then a medium dive.
Yay! I'm excited for that.
So, I don't know if you came across them when you were looking it up, but there's a gentleman. My first one is about a gentleman named David Zerfla.
Ooh, interesting name. I don't think I've heard of him.
So, funny enough, this is actually near us. It's an old case, but it's from Red Deer.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I couldn't.
That's pretty local.
I couldn't believe this was local. So I found a picture of the newspaper article in question. However, anytime you look it up, people have made a meme out of it because the headline's very funny. So people Photoshop their friends' like pictures in.
Oh.
So from what I could find online, 99.9% of them have one of 2 pictures. But according to a gentleman on Reddit, neither of those pictures are actually the gentleman involved, because he says he went to school with him and that the kid involved had like a bright blonde mohawk and stuff, which is not at all what this person looked like. And then
no.
And then other people go on to say that the because the kid was underage or close to being underage at the time, that they decided not to print his picture and that they put in like a random person's picture in the original article anyway. So,
oh man.
I will be posting a picture of the article on the website. However, in the one I used, it's pretty much just a memed one, so I did just like delete the picture out of it, so it is just the main article. It won't have a picture beside it because I didn't want to post something knowing full well that wasn't the person involved.
That's confusing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't have a picture of this gentleman, but his name is David Zerfla. If you're listening right now, David, I want to know. Actually, I understand what you did. I just want to know what your thought process in that moment was. So, his story pretty much consists of a bunch of quotes from the article and then a follow-up thing that was done. I think I found this, what was this? On Facebook.com, there was a Throwback Thursday flashback, and then there was a couriermail.com article as well. So.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. One of them was just a Facebook memory.
Yeah, it was weird.
So,
the title reads, Man Eats Underwear to Beat Breathalyzer.
Oh. Why?
And that's why it gets memed all the time. Because of that headline.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
As I said, most of these are just quotes. So it says, quote, the oddest, or I think this was from the Facebook one, quote, the oddest and unquestionably the most widely distributed story in my time at the Advocate was the story of an 18-year-old man who was arrested for suspicion of drunk driving near Stettler in 1985. Sorry, it was Stettler. It says,
I know where that is.
Yeah, quote, that was the end quote. An RCMP officer arrested him, put him in the back seat of the cruiser, and was astonished to see the young man ripping the crotch out of his shorts and chewing it. So that paints a vivid picture.
That can't be tasty.
No.
Why?
Right? Keep in mind, this is 1985. I'm pretty sure there was a bunch of rumors on how to beat breathalyzers.
Oh my god. Still. One sec.
Oh, yeah, let me know. Okay. I have to blow my nose anyway.
Oh, okay, no, that's good. I dropped a lime.
Alright.
Stettler.
Yeah, so this takes place in Stettler, Alberta, but this article was from the Red Deer Advocate. And also a Facebook memory from something. I think it was a Facebook memory from a radio station near Stettler that just thought it was hilarious, and I guess it was like a throwback that they had posted about this a long time ago. So they reposted it. So carrying on, it says, quote, his theory that the cotton would absorb the alcohol in his system so he could beat the blood alcohol test. Is what it read. The headline on the Advocate's story following the court case was Man Eats Underwear to Beat Breathalyzer. Just
The cotton.
Yeah.
He thought the cotton would help
absorb
him.
it. Yeah. I mean,
My god.
eating food, they say, can help, but I don't think
I was just saying, even coffee's pretty much a myth.
Yeah, I'm like...
You need time to sober up. Time. Jesus.
Yeah. Again, he's 18 in 1985.
His friends were not very helpful. They were like, hey buddy, try this. It'll be funny.
If you ever get pulled over, eat your shorts. Eat the
Oh, they were
crotch out of
definitely
your shorts.
there, yeah. In some capacity, egging him on. No.
So it says, quote, or I think this is from the article, as it happened, this is the best part. This just sold the deal. I had to talk about this. As it happened, there was a class of high school students in court that day, learning how the justice system operates.
Oh god.
Imagine how that went in court. Their teacher had to hustle them out. People were leaving the courtroom with tears in their eyes, trying not to laugh. RCMP Constable Peter McFarland told Advocate reporter Darcy Rickard. So this is, I believe, a quote from Peter McFarland, the RCMP constable, saying, I received so many phone calls over the years about whether this story was true that I kept copies on my bulletin board to fax to inquiring minds. So you know it's old when he's saying he's faxing these to people. I got 37 signed photocopies in my drawer.
Whoa.
goes on saying, in recent years, that story or embellished versions of it have been circulated widely on the internet. The kicker, the young driver, David Surfla, was acquitted of impaired driving because when he blew into the breathalyzer, his blood alcohol level was exactly 0.08, the exact legal limit.
Oh my god.
So one of the throwback thing and all the, there was only like 10 comments on the Facebook memory, but looking at it, people are like, does that mean it actually worked? They're like, was he a genius for eating the crotch out of his shorts in the back of a police vehicle?
If he was, is it really worth the trial and error?
Yeah, right? Wasn't that great? I was like, I can't believe this is like Alberta.
He's the crotch eater.
Oh, ew. No.
The
So-
crotch bandit. No. Gross. I love it.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, this is great.
The things people will do, I don't know.
Yeah. Like
Whoa.
everything. So my second one, I only had the two. My second one is just really funny.
I'm so ready, I don't know. I don't even know what
So-
it is.
We start. Two Welsh men, Rias Owen Jones,
Oh.
age 21, and Carrie Mules. They're both, two Welsh men. Rias Owen
Oh,
Jones,
they're-
21.
They're funny sounding already, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
love them.
And Carrie Mules, 21, face a $1,000 fine and charges of trespassing, stealing, and unlawfully keeping a protected animal after a drunken night at SeaWorld Marine Park on April 14th.
What?
Do you know about? Okay, so you don't know about this? Good.
I'm scared. I love seals, and so I don't know. I don't know. It's got to be bad, I'm guessing.
So, Jones is reported to be a former Royal Marine, and Mule's occupation was listed as a bricklayer. Well, this was like a compilation. This is all the information I could get from 4 articles. Not very much.
Wow.
So Jones is reported as a former Royal Marine, and Mules is listed occupation as a bricklayer. Well, working in Australia under working visas, they were part of a group that snuck into SeaWorld late at night after tending a beach party, as one does.
Damn hippies. Now we gotta free them all.
Yeah. The group, including an 18-year-old Australian man, set off, so this is a list of their crimes. They set off a fire extinguisher in the shark enclosure. Which, I mean...
They used a fire extinguisher?
It just says they set off a fire extinguisher.
Oh, maybe
Yeah.
one of those, water ones that comes from the ceiling or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Let it rain.
It's listed that they frolicked with dolphins. Another article just said that they swam with dolphins, but I liked that they frolicked with dolphins better.
Yes, but there's no punishment evil enough for that. Get those frolickers.
Yeah. And this was all before they broke into the... Are you ready?
No.
The fairy penguin enclosure and kidnapped 7-year-old Dirk the penguin on their way out of SeaWorld.
Dirk!
Little Dirk.
What
He's
did
so
he ever do to them?
He's so cute. He's honestly the cutest. He's like a foot tall. He's adorable.
What the fuck?
So the only background we really have on Dirk is that he was bred in captivity as part of a breeding colony. So there's that.
Wait, and these people just abducted him?
Yeah, I
For
have more
no reason.
information. I have more information.
Oh, I can't even talk. I'm like abducted him.
Little Dirk.
What the fuck?
I guess the reason isn't listed other than extreme drunkenness.
This does sound like a Simpsons episode.
Right?
Because there's one where he kidnaps a pig mascot.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay.
Ooh, it would have been great if I could find one of those. That would have been hilarious. People steal like college football team like mascots all the time in the States. It's like a tradition.
They are fierce about their rivalries.
Yeah, at least that's true as to what movies tell me. It seems that happens in every movie. So
Yes, me too, in TV.
yeah. Alright, so back to Dirk. Back at their apartment, they posed for photos with Dirk before passing out drunk.
Whoops. They were cuddling with him.
Yeah, they took some photos, and the next morning they woke up to find a hangover type mess and a penguin, because they did not remember why they had a penguin in their room at all.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, so it's literally the hangover, except replace the tiger with Dirk the penguin.
I'm trying to make some joke where it involves like the March of the Penguins and like the what is it? The shame walk? What is it when you go the next day?
Oh, the walk of
after
shame?
Yeah, the walk of shame after your one night stand.
Yeah.
The March of Shame. Of the penguins. No. Continue. I will just spiral.
It's great. So they attempted to feed the bird when they woke up the next morning and found it, while dealing with their hangovers. So they attempted to feed him, I don't know what, and they apparently just put him in the bathtub and tried to give him a shower because they assumed he needed water because he's a penguin. I don't know. I don't know much about fairy
Joey
penguins.
and Chandler with the chick and the duck.
Yes. It really is.
I just wanted to save him. I don't know how to take care of him.
Yeah. So they attempted to feed him, they gave him a shower before they ended up panicking and releasing Dirk into, unfortunately, shark-infested waters of the Gold Coast Broadwater.
Oh, God, no!
Yeah. They did not know it was shark-infested because they do not live, or they're on work visas in Australia. They're from Wales. They do not know that these are shark-infested waters that they just released little tiny Dirk into. With his little flappy
why would
arms.
they just put him somewhere that they don't know that penguins go? I'm so confused.
Right?
That is terrible.
So they were caught after they were super stupid, and a friend saw all the pictures of them with Dirk the penguin that they posted online, and the friend called the police.
I think they're pretty tough on that in Australia.
This one they aren't really.
Yeah. Was not to start a whole thing, but isn't that the place where her Amber Heard and Johnny Depp got in trouble for bringing their pets in without permission? Maybe you don't know, but for some reason
I vaguely know about that.
Pat is like weirdly obsessed with the Amber Heard Johnny Depp story. I must admit, for someone who makes fun of me for following celebrity stories. He's like, that Amber Heard's a bitch. Like, yeah. Okay.
I think they both got their problems there, but...
I mean, exactly. It can be hard to take a side in a fight because you don't know the inside problems, but at the same time, no comment. No comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let the proper people in the courts figure that shit out. The people that have access to all of the evidence instead of just what, like, fucking TMZ reports.
No. And nobody can, like, diagnose a relationship. Yeah. It's like, good luck. But yeah.
So,
right.
Police are now on the search. So, obviously, I assume they realized Dirk was missing from the zoo.
Dirk!
Yeah, Dirk. Police are able to locate Dirk after a search all day. And this is so sad. Or, actually, not yet. Redacted. Take that out.
What?
Edit that out.
No.
So, the sad part comes after.
I'm not prepared!
It's not super sad. It's just like, oh, poor Dirk. So he was found shivering under a dock, and he was unharmed. And he was reunited with his partner, Peaches, back at SeaWorld.
Oh my god. His partner Peaches?
Yeah.
Adorable.
Right? Dirk and Peaches.
Penguins are so progressive too. Like,
Yeah.
some of them are like, we're gay and we want to, like, you know, parent
They'll
this
steal,
rock.
Or they'll
Well,
steal the egg of another.
I
It's so
guess
cute.
I hadn't heard so much about that. I thought they would sometimes give them eggs to parent that had no parents anymore.
Yeah,
I hadn't heard much about the stealing.
I think some of them end up getting given ones to like couples that keep trying to steal them.
I've heard of some beautiful, sweet homosexual penguin couples.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I never thought I'd have to say that sentence. Anyway.
So this was the sad part.
Okay.
It's not super sad, but a couple did witness Dirk while he was playing in the shark-infested waters of Gold Coast Broadwater.
Yes.
So a couple witnessed Dirk being chased out of the water by what was possibly a shark. Yeah, and then a dog saw Dirk the penguin, and the dog chased the penguin back into the water, back at the shark.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
So little Dirk is just being attacked by sharks and dogs.
Wait, where is this? With the penguin and the dog?
I assume it's at a beach. So he got chased from the water of the beach onto the sand by a shark, and then from the sand back into the water by a dog.
Oh, good lord. It
Yeah.
sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah,
I'm like...
poor little Dirk has been kidnapped by intoxicated 20-year-olds and then chased by a shark and then chased by a dog. He just wants
Dirk,
to go home.
videos or it didn't happen. I don't believe you. No.
So the couple that saw him being chased by what they thought was a shark, because they said they could hear him like in the water and they could see like a commotion and like waves going and everything, and then this penguin just like fucking booked it out of the water. It was so funny. And then
As fast as a penguin can book it.
yeah, and I don't know if it was their dog or somebody else's that then chased the penguin back into the water.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I could just see his little wings just going,
Right?
like, I
Especially-
can't fly, I can't swim that fast, you guys. It's
Especially
like
when you
when
see
you're
a
trying to
picture
get out
of
of the
him.
water fast, but you
Yeah.
can't because you have to wade your way back to shore.
Right? Especially when you see a picture of him. He is so cute. He's literally
Oh,
the cutest
no.
penguin I've ever seen.
Is he? Okay. Yeah. Damn, most penguins are, I have to say.
So the couple that saw him said, quote, they heard us, or I think this is, oh no, this isn't their quote. So it says, they heard a scuffle in the water and the penguin came out onto the sand. That was a quote from Trevor Long, SeaWorld's director of marine scientists, as he told reporters.
Ooh.
After this, the men involved were also located and charged. So they caught up with Rice and Carey and the other younger 18-year-old Australian man that was with them.
Mm-hmm.
So defense lawyer Bill Potts appeared in court. This is so stupid. In court while wearing a penguin pattern tie. This is the defense
Oh.
lawyer.
My god.
They kidnapped a penguin. And your lawyer shows up to court wearing a penguin pattern tie.
And you're defending the guys that supposedly harmed the penguin.
Yeah, stole the penguin.
Or stole the penguin.
Yeah.
Choices were made.
Yeah, choices were made.
We're not sure what to think of them.
So he stated that the men had been subjected to international ridicule and that they were severely intoxicated at the time and are deeply regretful of their actions, that they meant the animal no harm.
Ugh, well.
Which, I mean, true, but how...
I don't know. I guess, what did they really do to harm it in the end? Now I'm struggling to remember.
Well, they did release the fire extinguisher and the sharks. They frolicked with some dolphins. They
Right.
kidnapped a penguin. Then let the penguin that's a protected animal into shark-infested waters where he was harassed by a shark and then a dog. So
I'm like, I mean, really, how bad were they in the end? And I'm like, well, when you put it that way,
yeah, it's
kind of
snowballed.
dicks.
It snowballed.
I kind of get why everyone's like, that SeaWorld documentary you gotta watch.
Yeah.
No. Woof, though.
So, some of the quotes, this is pretty much just a compilation of quotes from what the court and mostly the judge said. I assume it's the judge. So, it says, it appears
so.
to be youthful hijinks rather than criminal intent, he said. They tried their incompetent best to care for the penguin. This was absolute stupidity. If you had gone in the wrong enclosure, you could have ended up in the morgue instead of standing here in front of me today. And then finally, perhaps next time you're at a party, you will consider drinking a little less vodka.
Oh, burn. I was thinking of Joey and Chandler because we just got done rewatching Friends. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
I mean, they might have started out with maybe not the best of knowing intentions, what it was like to have farm animals, but they eventually raised that chick and that duck.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, as I said, they actually didn't end up really getting much. The court decided against actually convicting them of anything super bad. Instead, they were each fined $1,000, and the two left Australia in hopes that they would someday, like, fairly quickly be able to return to actually live there. Don't know how that turned out for them. But
sir?
yeah. This case ends with what I thought was just funny, how this article put it. It says, SeaWorld management refused to comment on the case, but from all reports, Dirk has put the ordeal behind him.
Oh.
Yeah.
SeaWorld refuses, but Dirk is like...
Dirk's like, it's behind me. That was so when I was 7. I'm 8 now. I'm mature. I'm Mr. Dirk. I don't know.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are some problems when people's sea animal human relations have gotten too close for comfort, in my opinion. So it can all be a little creepy, but like, wow, that was funny.
That's why I was like, mine are gonna be funny. I want to go last. Because it was like, mine are ridiculous.
I enjoy funny crimes. I know. Yeah, we like to talk about true crime sometimes, but we also like to talk about funny true crime.
Yeah.
And I expect people like to hear about it sometimes.
Yeah.
Just guessing.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That was really good. I'm excited for next time, too.
Yes.
Which is... Wait.
Sleep
I'm the one that's-
paralysis. We're
Yes.
doing some sleep
also-
paralysis.
Let me guess, because I'm bad at episode numbers. Is it episode number 20?
This one's
Or
episode
21?
20.
This is 20. Is
Yeah.
21.
Yeah. 21 is going to be sleep paralysis.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited. People seem to like it. We've had at least one person requesting it. So yeah, we thought it might be fun to dive into. So
Yeah.
we're going to do some sleep paralysis. Maybe some succubus, incubus stories and delving into a little bit of that. And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
We end up with.
Yeah.
It'll be
Exactly.
a grab bag of
It's our
nightmares.
It's our cup of tea. You can't be a paranormal podcast and not talk about it. I just don't want to get sleep paralysis after talking about it. I'm good without the first-hand experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But-
don't need listener stories to turn into first-hand accounts from myself.
We have to balance that bridge, you know? It's like, I love to talk about paranormal shit, and I want to be a paranormal podcaster, but I don't seem to have that, like, empath, like, you know, third eye, like I'm so susceptible to seeing things. I'm like, I don't see shit, but like at this point, maybe now I'm glad I don't.
Yeah. I am.
Yeah.
I have enough with weird nightmares that like are reoccurring that I don't need to add sleep paralysis to it. But
Dreams are the weirdest shit ever.
Yeah.
You have to admit. They're the fucking weirdest.
I think I've told you before, though, I one day think I will actually be able to achieve, what did they call it when you can, like, control your dreams?
Oh, lucid dreaming.
Yeah. I'm, like, 65% of the way there. Have been for, like, 10 years. So one day I will achieve it.
Okay, you know what's funny? I have never actively practiced that before I picked a book for our book club that ended up dealing with lucid dreaming and stuff.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was like, I'm interested in it a little bit and maybe dabbled here and there. But, like, honestly, I have to say that, like, I wish they would make that one into a movie because I picked, or they made it into a Netflix miniseries, you guys. So it was called Behind Her Eyes.
Yeah.
And I was flattered that after I picked that for a novel that lots of people were like, oh, I really like that book that we did that one time, Behind Her Eyes. Or like I would be always flattered when people were like in our book club like, oh, this one sucked, but I like that one, you know, and I'd be like, I picked that one, you know, because it was so like, I don't know, it was like a thriller, but then like throw some sleep paralysis and some lucid dreaming and some fucking astral projection in there and see what you get. And it just made a super cool novel. So you guys should also, read / watch Behind Her Eyes.
Yeah.
Pat and I watched the miniseries, and he's really good at guessing things, but like I don't think he got the main thing. He was like, I don't get why these people are such dicks, but like I don't get what the meaning is. What is with this Adele girl? She's a bitch. And I was like, well, I can't really tell you, but
Yeah.
it was entertaining.
I'm like, right now I'm only, like, I don't really control my dreams, so the ones, there's like a handful I have that are reoccurring, that are like nightmares that I know because I've had them like 20 or 30 times each, like, so when I'm in the middle of them, I have had them so many times and it's exactly the same, like, every single time that I can, like, partway through, I'll, like, realize, oh, I know what's gonna happen next, and I don't want to, like, go through this. Because they're like, normally
so it's
it ends
the exact same. That's crazy.
Yeah, it normally ends up with me getting murdered. You know, I'm obsessed with true crime, so most of them end up with me getting murdered and stuff. So I'm always like, I'm about to get murdered. I'd rather not go through that, so I can actually like flip a switch and like immediately wake myself up, and then I have to be awake for like.
Oh my god! What?
Yeah, I normally have to, like, play on my phone for, like, half an hour or so, because if I go back to sleep, like, within half an hour, it's like you press pause when I woke up, and then, like, hit play again, and I'll go back to sleep, and it'll be like it is in the exact spot where I left off, and it won't work, so I have to, like, stay up for a certain amount of time.
I feel like that makes sense, because of the way your brain's, like, in REM sleep. Sometimes I'll, like, I don't know if I've gotten really drunk the night before or whatever. You wake up the next morning and you're like, I don't even feel awake. Like, has everything reset? But like, yeah, it can be like a total like, bloop, hit reset and see what happens. And people don't always believe you. And it's like, what the hell? Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, I know them. Like, I can... Anytime I'm going through the dream, I'm like, I know exactly what this is, like, and I'm just like, not today, just don't feel like it. But thankfully they only each happen like once a year, or once every couple years, so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, I'll get like the kind of stress-oriented one where I'm like, it usually has to do with me trying to get to work, and I'm like, can't get to work, late to work, like, whether I can drive or not, like, I'll be, like, trying to call a cab, and, like, it's not coming, and it's just, like, I think the nightmare is that everything is just taking so long.
Yeah.
You're like, ah. But yeah.
Anyway, yeah, listener stories. If you guys want to send in listener stories about anything, really, it can be true crime or supernatural, or if you want to share a weird nightmare you have.
Oh, yeah, open it up. Weird nightmares are cool. Weird nightmares I've had, and like supernatural stories I haven't. So I get it with like our listenership that is like less than 100 people. It's like maybe they don't have any listener stories yet. So
Yeah.
it's okay. Someday we'll have listener stories and we'll be good with them.
Yeah. You can, if you have one that you want to share with us, you can message us on any of our social media or email us at castlesencryptids@gmail.com. And please include, please include your name so we can give you a shout out when we do it, and we will get to all of them, I'm sure, because
a couple of the ones I've gotten on Reddit for different episodes, they've not wanted to do, or like I've been like, you could be anonymous if you want, and they don't even say if they want to use their screen name, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll just use their screen name, but I won't include anything else, so don't worry.
Yeah.
You don't want to scare people.
No. And other than that, we are probably sometime in the next few months, or probably at least the next 6 months or so, we're wanting to do kind of like an Ask Us Anything. So if you have a question that we haven't already had a tangent about and you want us to talk about or answer, it doesn't even have to be a deep question. Ask us a favorite color, ask us a favorite movie, whatever. You can send that in social media or our email.
Those can be fun, especially if you ask a good question.
Otherwise, we're just going to make up questions for each other.
No.
Like,
I could talk for 10 hours. Sometimes I do talk for almost 10 hours, and then we're like, how do we not have an episode? I have blabbered on about nothing.
If you want to know what we think would win in a fight,
that reminds me of
a shark
my brother.
or a bear.
A dog and a monkey gets in a fight. Who will win?
Yeah.
It's like, probably depends on the dog and the monkey. No.
Are you talking about one of the finger monkeys that's like 2 inches tall and then like your dog? Then I'm definitely going your dog.
My dog is like a dire wolf beast. So like, yeah.
He will defeat the monkey. Okay. Other than that...
And he will be cute.
Yeah, he'll be super cute while doing it with his little curled tail.
Fenrir! But yeah.
However you're listening to us right now, you can do us a super kindness and a favor and leave us a rating or review us. And if you haven't already, you can subscribe.
Yep. It's a very big solid. We appreciate the subscribe and review.
Or you can
In fact, you might be our first review.
Or our first rate. No. And if you want to be super cool and you love our podcast, you can recommend it to a friend.
Friend,
spam all of your friends. Spam
veterinarian.
Everybody you know. So much that they think you're a phishing email with a sketchy link. Do that. No.
They probably will.
We don't want
What the hell? Okay, guys. What's a podcast? Alright, we get it.
And we'll catch you
We
next
appreciate
week.
every like and subscribe, though. We really do.
Yes. You guys listening to our ramblings every week.
Can there actually be 25 real people, at least, or 30 that listen to our show, or are they all bots? Only time will tell.
I promise I've actually, after our episodes have posted, I've only ever listened to the first episode after it posted, and I listened to it 4 times. But our first episode, guys, is creeping up. Probably in the next week is going to hit 100 downloads, which is very cool.
It might.
Yeah.
It's very close. It's in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe.
So
It
we
might
can't
mean that
believe
people
that.
download our voices and listen to them. It's hard to tell.
Right?
They might download them and go, eh.
Yeah. But the rest of our episodes are picking up, so
Ugh.
yeah.
It takes a while, to be honest. It's like the one, one of my favorites, and that's why we drink. Although they had tons when I started, it took me a while to like join their Patreon, say for instance, and like.
Yeah,
So,
and we already have 4 episodes over there. You can also listen to a reel of Alanna burping a whole bunch of times, because it happens between the two of us like 10 times an episode that we have to cut out.
Hey, you love my movie-worthy burps.
Yes, they make me actually laugh, like burst out laughing every time. I'm always like, that was a good one.
Don't worry, we won't curse you if you don't.
Yeah, I promise. But
no worries.
We're still gonna release an episode a month over there, so if you want to check those out, they're normally like some of our favorite episodes because we choose the best topics for them, and we're a little more unfiltered than we are on here, and they typically sometimes end up being quite a bit longer than these ones.
They're the funnest.
Yeah.
I know, they're always the funnest topics. Yes,
Yeah,
I agree.
We've had some good ones, so if you're interested, check out our Patreon.
Fuck, man.
Yeah. Check out our everything. And we'll catch you next week for some sleep paralysis and maybe some nightmare stories and just a whole bunch of stuff to do with sleeping. Because it's my favorite thing. I love sleeping.
Sleep tight.
Yeah. Good night.
We're coming at ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. This has been Castles and Cryptids. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and our YouTube channel. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit. On our website, you can listen to all of our episodes as well as view pictures for each of our segments. Check out our Patreon page to view all of our tiers and become a Patreon supporter today to unlock monthly bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes content. We are working on an Ask Us Anything. You can submit questions by social media or by email at castlesandcryptids@gmail.com. Do you have a spooky ghost story, a creepy cryptid sighting, or a thrilling true crime tale you would like to share and have us include in a future episode? Send us your listener story by social media or by email. Please include the name that you would like mentioned. Our music is by Kobe Fair. Our logo and artwork is by Antonio Garcia. Thanks for listening.